Hey everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Just found this article a few days ago on Forbes magazine on a tech blog on a very hot topic. For those that may not know, NVIDIA is doing quite well stock-wise due to their GPUs that they put out, the graphical processing units, and now everything's going cloud with Amazon on the Amazon Web Services, as well as the topic of machine learning, and of course, in the world of trading, and even a lot of funds and hedge funds and investment banks are moving in this direction or are already well underway. I've played around with these topics in the past. The difference now between back a few years ago was the support of the languages for NVIDIA GPU was pretty well only Java, C++, or C# for Windows. I'm not a big fan of Windows anymore, so the only two options are Java as well as C++. So now they've added in the new option of Python in the last, I don't know how long, where you have these newer, more standard machine learning frameworks, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and Theano, and Torch, which are all supported in Python. So it really comes down to C++ or Python, and I've been working with Python now for about 2 years. This is quite interesting, makes life a lot easier, and the big advantages of this is that you're able to run simulations and whatnot in a matter of hours, where it traditionally would take a couple of weeks. So they've gotten around that pretty good. And of course, you can build out these deep neural networks and whatnot, and it gets pretty deep in terms of hardware power. Developing a stunning 960 trillion operations per second for serious ML work. And when it comes to capital markets, that is definitely an application where you'd be easily running into these numbers depending upon the data that you're wanting to learn about. So lots of GitHub frameworks out there, a lot of these deep neural network libraries, so on and so forth. But with the NVIDIA support, it's come a long ways, and especially now it's done in Python. So when you look at my channel here under the videos, and you go under and just do, let's say, NVIDIA, what you'll find here is I've got lots of videos on a variety of options. So I'm just going to walk you through a bunch of them. So let's say we have NVIDIA CUDA GPU. Now, again, I've dropped the Microsoft Windows stuff. This pretty good framework if you want to stay in the world of Windows, but they also have the same for C++ on Linux. You really can't do this. I can't really say, but from what I understand, you really got to stick to Linux for C++. So you'll see lots of demos here using C++. And there's also the open source options as well with the OpenMPI and a couple other libraries as well. You could do the same thing in R if you really wanted to. F# is another one, but F# is pretty well, seems to be dying off pretty fast, no different than R. I mean, I think R is still out there, but I'm finding definitely Python is taking over and probably has taken over in the world of, finance and industries using a lot of Python. So also here you'll find another playlist called FastFlow, which is more of a virtual CUDA level, but again, it's just its own library. I've not checked into FastFlow. I know it can run quite easily on Linux, so that's another option if you want to do it virtually. Another option is using Redis as well, but again, you need the hardware. But for simulations, CUDA is a good option, and then pretty well the standard. So you can see here I've got Redis for this Lua Torch, doesn't work at all. So just trying to see anything else that may stand out. Well, MATLAB is another one, but it gets very expensive. And I think that's one of the reasons why MATLAB again is dropping off, because of the cost. It's not open source, but using C++ with Python, it is definitely open source. Fastflow is open source as well, but it's just not updated fast enough. So another option really comes down to two companies, is Intel and NVIDIA. Now, for those that may not know, there's TBB, threading building blocks, C++, and this is quite good as well. And they also have CUDA, the equivalent of CUDA for GPU, but they have their own boards as well, for these MIC boards. It's a line, I think that was out 10 months ago, so this still may be valid, that sits on top of these specific boards for Intel with TBB. What I will tell you is if you do want to go the C++ route, the Intel may be the better option, because you're dealing with 100% product line from Intel. So meaning if you do C++, you want to stick with the higher performance. C++ with Intel is better because you can use the Intel C++ compiler to fine-tune it for Intel hardware, and that's the big advantage with Intel. And again, TBB is open source as well. So there's lots of options out there, but this is definitely something that's not going away at all. Machine learning using CUDA and or Intel, as well as these cloud solutions as well from places like Amazon for the Amazon Web Services. Hopefully this will help you out somehow. Later.